Hi there. Thank you for being here. My name is Kenzie. I'm 28 and I'm originally from Spain, though I've lived in the US for most of my life now. Today, I want to tell you a story that changed everything for me. It's about family, about silence, about love that looks like loyalty, not just words. And it's about how sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the loudest truth. So I hope you'll listen all the way through. Because what started as a few quiet visits ended in a moment that no one in my family saw coming. It started when I was 24. My grandma, Lucia, was getting older. Her mind was still sharp, but her hands had started to tremble and stares had become enemies. She lived alone in her old stone house on the edge of town. The same house I used to run through barefoot as a child, chasing the smell of fresh bread from her oven. Everyone in the family said, "She's fine. She doesn't need babysitting. She's stubborn. She won't let anyone help anyway." But I didn't see it that way. To me, Grandma was magic. She taught me how to cook, how to speak with my heart, how to look someone in the eye even when the truth hurt. So I visited her every week, every Sunday, without fail, even when I had deadlines, even when I was tired, even when no one else showed up, and they noticed. My cousins started teasing me. "Did she bribe you with cookies again? Are you her emotional support granddaughter now? You know she doesn't even remember your birthday, right?" My aunt told me once, "You don't need to do this. It's not your job to play nurse." And my own mother said, "You're wasting your youth. She won't even remember these visits in a few years." But I kept going, not because I expected anything, but because I loved her. She never said thank you. She didn't have to. We just sat, talked, drank tea. Sometimes she'd fall asleep mid-sentence and I'd sit there quietly, watching her breathe like time itself was slowing down just for her. And then, last winter, she passed away, peacefully, in her sleep. She was holding the blanket I had knitted her the year before. Her funeral was small, traditional, and cold, not in temperature, but in spirit. Everyone was there. Cousins, uncles, the same people who hadn't seen her in months, years even, now shedding performative tears and talking about how much they missed her laugh. I stayed silent. After the burial, we received notice. There would be a formal reading of her will at the lawyer's office the next week. Apparently, she had updated it just 2 months before her death. No one expected much. We all knew she didn't have millions stashed away, but they were wrong. The day of the reading, we sat in a long room with glass windows and an old oak table. Mr. Vargas, her lawyer, opened a manila folder and began reading with a steady voice. "To my son, Javier, and his children, I leave the ceramic vase from Cordoba and my collection of flamenco records." Nods. Smiles. Easy. "To my daughter-in-law, Carmen, I leave the silver brooch given to me by my own grandmother." Again, polite thanks. Then he paused. He looked up, directly at me. "To my granddaughter, Kenzie," my breath caught, "who visited me not out of obligation, but out of love, who showed up when others did not, who sat with me in silence and let me feel human." He cleared his throat. "I leave all remaining assets, my house, my savings account at Banco de España, my antique jewelry, and the family photo albums that no one else cared to preserve." Dead. Silence. You could hear the air leave the room. My uncle muttered something in Spanish under his breath. My cousin Sophia turned red. Someone dropped a pen. I didn't say a word. Mr. Vargas continued, "My only request is that she use these gifts not for show, but for shelter, for peace, for building something rooted in memory, not in inheritance." When the reading ended, no one looked at me. Some left without speaking. Others whispered about contesting it. One cousin asked if I manipulated her, but none of them ever sat with her on cold winter mornings. None of them helped her clean old photographs. None of them stayed through the long silences, through the fading years. I did. And in the end, she saw that. She didn't need a parade. She needed presence. And presence was what I gave her. Absolutely. Here's the next part of the story, continuing after Kenzie becomes the unexpected heir, leaving the rest of her family in shock. The emotional tension builds as hidden motives, jealousy, and a deeper family truth begin to surface. The days after the reading were strange. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel rich. I just felt alone. The house, Grandma's house, now mine, felt haunted. Not by ghosts, but by memories. Warm ones, sad ones, half-forgotten ones, baked into the walls like the scent of her lavender soap. But while I was grieving, my family was plotting. They started showing up. First, it was my cousin Sophia, the one who used to joke that I had nothing better to do on Sundays than play nurse. She brought pastries. You know, she said, sipping tea like she belonged there. We used to love this place as kids. Maybe we can all spend time here again. I smiled politely, but my hands stayed folded. Then came Uncle Javier. He didn't bother pretending. This doesn't feel fair, he said, standing in Grandma's old kitchen like he owned it. She was our mother. That house was built with our father's hands, and now it's paperwork? She chose, I said simply. He stared at me like I'd cursed. You think love excuses manipulation? He spat. You had her wrapped around your finger. It hit me then. They hadn't just lost property, they'd lost the illusion of control. For years, they believed she would never stray from tradition. That loyalty was owed, not earned. But Grandma wasn't a fool. She knew who showed up and who didn't. That week, I found a letter in her bedside drawer. It was addressed to me. No envelope, just folded paper, fragile with time. Kenzie, you gave me the greatest gift, time. Not gifts, not praise, just time. When you were small, you asked me why people die. I told you because memories need a keeper. You became mine. Let them gossip. Let them wonder. What matters most isn't what you inherit, but what you preserve. So keep the house, keep the love, and if they come for it, remember they are grieving what they never earned. I cried. For her. For the silence between us that always said more than words ever could. For the life she gave me, not just through what she left behind, but through what she taught me to carry. The house is mine, but I don't flaunt it. I use it how she asked. There's an open door on Sundays. Not everyone comes, some never will. But I keep the kettle warm. I keep her photo by the window. And I sit quietly on the old velvet chair she loved so much. Because love doesn't scream. Love just shows up. Spring came quietly. The garden began to bloom again, just like she always said it would. I planted lavender. In the same patch of soil where she used to kneel with her straw hat and cracked gloves, humming old Spanish lullabies I never quite learned the words to. One morning, as I sat on the front porch sipping coffee, the mail arrived. Inside the stack was a small padded envelope, no return address. Just my name, handwritten in delicate script. Inside, a flash drive, and a note. She wanted you to have this. I found it in her sewing box. I plugged it into my laptop. There was only one file. A video. Grainy. Shaky. But there she was, my grandmother, sitting in her kitchen wearing that same soft blue sweater she always wore when baking. She looked into the camera and smiled. If Kenzie's watching this, then I suppose I'm gone now. She chuckled softly. I wanted to leave you something more than a house or jewelry or secrets. I wanted to leave you a voice. She paused. You have a strong heart, too strong for a world that tries to silence soft things. But don't lose that softness, mi niña. It's your strength. They may come for what's mine. They may throw stones, but you sit with the quiet. And that is rare. Make this house into a place where someone else feels seen, let it carry warmth beyond bloodlines, and never stop visiting on Sundays, even if I'm not there to make the tea. The screen went dark, and just like that, the silence returned, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was full of love, of memory, of something sacred. I leaned back in the chair, looking out over the garden, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged. Not because of a will, not because of property, but because I remembered, and I showed up, even when no one else did.